I didn't expect to be doing another video on the not 4090 from EVGA so soon, but what I have in my hands, in this stick of destiny, is what I was wishing I had yesterday. Yeah, a 600 watt BIOS.
Hey, Jay. Jay. Jay.
What?
We got work to do.
Yeah, I'm playing World of Warships.
Yeah. World of Warships is the free-to-play naval strategy game where you command the most iconic and famous warships from World War I and World War II, recreated with stunning detail and accuracy. Build your fleet while participating in various game types while upgrading your ship's arsenal along the way. New players who sign up using my link below will receive an exclusive starter pack to get you up and running quickly by receiving 7 days premium time, 1 million credits, 300 doubloons, and the Tier 5 premium ship, the Exeter.
So what are you guys waiting for?
Start sinking ships with World of Warships by heading to the description below and getting your freebies.
So in the video I first talked about this, I showed you guys that it was limited to 450 watts. I'm on a different setup though. I am on the, hey, this is almost an all EVGA setup. We got EVGA card, I guess not. Guys, comment down below if you want me to build the EVGA tribute system. I do have EVGA cases, EVGA power supplies, EVGA coolers, EVGA fans, EVGA graphics cards, EVGA motherboards. The only thing that won't be EVGA is the CPU and the RAM. Fun fact, EVGA for a little while did make DDR3. But I'm not building a DDR3 system. If you guys want me to build the EVGA tribute system, maybe and put that in the background somewhere, let me know and I will. Anyway, the BIOS on this card was pretty, I don't want to say hastily, but it was built almost as like a skunkworks project, I guess, because it's my assumption that the team that would have been developing the software for this is no longer with EVGA. That would be my assumption because they're not building new cards, therefore they don't need new stuff. I don't know if they're on a skeleton crew to keep things kind of going for support and whatnot. But anyway, this arrived today, which is a 600 watt BIOS, which allows me to go all the way up to the spec of the PCIe Gen 4. Now I have a theory, and I'm gonna test this out here right now before I move forward with the flashing, is that, remember when I ran Port Royal? The clock was dropping down into the 2900s, and that's because of the fact that as soon as you start bumping up the clock speed, you can easily hit the 450 power wall. And then since we're already voltage limited at 1.1 volts, the only way it can reduce its power draw is by reducing core clocks. So that's why I only got like a 28,100 something, which is not enough to be in the top 100 because of the fact that it has to drop the clocks. So now having 600 watts available to it, we should theoretically be able to keep the clocks higher. And I might just push the AC towards this just for the lulls of keeping the temps down, because this is probably the best cooler so far of all of them, ironically. So I need to get GPU-Z installed. And if you guys don't know what GPU-Z is, it is an amazing tech utility, specifically for graphics cards, which will show you everything happening with your graphics card. Check this out, if we go to sensors, this is what matters right here. So GPU temperature is idling right now at 39.8, as you can see right here. We are at 0 RPM. And this is one of the things I wanted to mention in our last video, why the temperature got up to like 75 to 77 C, is because these actually were not kicking on. So those temperatures that you saw were actually with the fans not turning until I turned them on, which is why it cooled down so fast. Weird bug, but again, this is not a final product, so you would expect there to be some weird bugs and stuff. But if we look down here for perf cap reason, right now, idle. So this would tell us like, we're capped for voltage, we're capped for power, we're capped for voltage or power, or both, whatever. So let's just bring up Heaven so you can see how important this tool is. And this is how I'm gonna be able to verify the reason why our core clocks were dropping prior to flashing the BIOS. And then I just wanna see what kind of uplift we got. See, our perf cap reason right now is voltage. So VOP would be operating voltage, idle, GPU utilization, power limited by power, thermal limit. So that tells you the reasons, right? Just wanted to do a quick little shout out there to, GPU-Z is not just an identifying tool, it's also a very good tool for measuring things that are happening with it. Okay, so check it out, GPU power draw. The chip is now drawing 330 watts and the board power is drawing 426, 427. That's expected behavior, but as soon as I mash the core voltage to as high as it'll go, watch. This will go to 1100. And now we'll see the board power, look at that, 424, 426, 425, 442. And remember, 450 is the limit here. And we're already power limited, check that out. See, it went from the blue, there we go. Now we're power and voltage limited and we're bouncing off of that. So that's the reason why we were seeing fluctuating frequencies. So our frequency right now, 2775. If I try and push the frequency to like 100, like it'll give us some, but it's gonna start dropping the clocks a ton and fluctuating all over the place. There's 2910, so I go 250. 2985, 3000, 2985, 3000. See that? I can't really get it to go. Like I'm giving it more, but it's not going more. And that's because look, we are just straight up power limited. And look at our power right there. So this is why, for overclocking purposes, this BIOS is actually fairly important. All right, so our baseline run of touching nothing on here other than fan curve, a 25,688. Yeah, pretty dang low, but not that far off from where things were when we first tested like the FE and stuff with stock. Yeah, we were mostly voltage limited there. So it does a pretty good job at staying underneath its power limit and stuff as it should. Okay, so now I'm going to max our temperature limit, max our core voltage, and I'm gonna do like 200 and 1500. Just a fairly basic overclock right there. Also too, I did end up taking the 4090 Founders Edition home and hooking up on my rig, which I live stream on multiple times a week for hours at a time, using the cable mod cable, because I figured the only way I'm gonna ever, if I experience the issue is, especially now with 3.0 cables, some of them showing problems, I just gotta put it in the real world use case. It's gonna happen when I'm not filming, and that's the best way to describe it, I think. Okay, we just finished our first run, 27,424. Yeah, so that's not even great, because I had 28,100 something on the other system, but you know what the difference is? Look at that, 2910, 29.5. I'm also not running Precision X, which has the boost lock, which is more important. I should probably install it on here. But yeah, if we look at our limits here, so if I now go to perf reason, power. Green is power, blue is voltage. So it was more power limited than voltage limited. The more I use this card, the more depressing it is that it's not available. That was a really common comment on the video talking about this card, is just how depressing it is it's not gonna ever make it out, because it's so perfect in the sense of its form factor, temperatures, and the performance. I mean, I'm trying to do, not extreme, I'm just trying to overclock the damn thing now, and that's just lottery there, but 27,624. Yeah, see, I'm hitting the same wall, even though I'm upping the core. 2970, 29, 3000. It hits 3000 for a second, but that's just not enough. Allow me to now flash this BIOS. And this is an executable BIOS flash. I don't have to use NV Flash or anything like that. So this is an auto installer by EVGA, so it's gonna all work fine. Do I want to continue? Yes. So basically it's just a built-in executable that uses NV Flash that already has all the commands in the BIOS as a package. So now I just have to restart the system. All right, opening Afterburner after the flash. Oh yeah, see, it just goes to 133 now. Cool. So look at that, it boosted to 2805. Remember how I was only going to 2700 before? So it boosted to 2805 just by allowing it to go past 450. So there's your proof right away that out of the box, even without touching a slider, you can very well be power limited in the design. All right, just one sanity test here before I run this. 3075 is not gonna run, and that's the problem, is that's not gonna get me anywhere on the board, because there's so many cards out there that have really good Silicon Lottery winners that so far I haven't had a card be a great Silicon Lottery winner. And by Silicon Lottery winner, I mean being able to run Port Royal at 3100 plus, and none of my cards so far can do it. That's why the guys that are running LN2 with stock limits and stuff are able to add like 100 plus megahertz, getting nearly 3200 megahertz, because of the fact that they were having to go really cold to get that stability at that lower voltage. This is the thing look at this. That fluctuation, and that's something I'm experiencing with this card when I push it, is that, yeah, look at that, how far it drops down. I feel like this is a precision problem, and I've seen this before, where when precision is running, it causes that weird fluctuation. So let me do a test right here. You guys see how the FPS is like up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up? I've seen this before. Now, if I close precision, it's gone. We saw this with the 20 series. Not Kingpin cards, it was 2080 Ti for the Win 3. We saw this with that, and I remember calling it out then. So whatever that problem was that they ended up fixing is back. So I can use it to figure out the stability, but that down, up, down, up, down, up, and I think it's a polling rate. It's a polling thing about precision accessing the card, and that might be one of the reasons why on the other system it was so slow, is because I left it running. So again, this is one of those things where I have to set the frequency, close the program. But this is a version of Precision X written just for this particular card, and clearly it does not have all the bugs worked out. Okay, good to know. So I know I have my clock, my GPU clock sort of ironed out there. Now I'm gonna kind of just set a memory clock and see what happens. 27,942, yeah, this is just nothing really worth writing home about. But I have the AC pointing at it now, so that should help. Let me make sure there's nothing weird going with my control panel. All right, this is now with AC on. Probably isn't gonna have any real effect, honestly. It's also not fully like ducted into the card, so there's a lot of air being lost around the sides. But the card is cold, and it came down about 12 degrees or so, and we saw that going up about 8C caused it to crash with one bin. So if we can drop it 10C, that theoretically could make us hold the bin. I am looking forward to when I finally go LN2 on these cards, but it's a huge time sink to do LN2 cooling with any graphics card, and then clean up the mess and order the liquid nitrogen, and you only have a certain amount of time to use it before it starts to boil off. And I'm noticing that this card at the same frequency as other cards is performing slower, and that's probably just because, again, super early engineering chips. I have no idea. 27,246, I lost a ton of score. And that was at 3060 the entire way, and 1512 on the memory there. I mean, this, for all intents and purposes, is like the same as my score that was a 28,300. So it's 1,100 points behind where it should be, and I have no idea where that overhead problem is. I don't know. I turned on ECC technically, which I guess would slow it down, because ECC was off by default. I guess I could do that again. One more run with error correcting back off. That's how, by the way, that's how people are getting these crazy scores, by the way, in 3D Mark, and that's why 3D Mark continues to take them down. If you go to change ECC state and you turn it off, which is actually off by default, it will allow the memory to make mathematical errors, which is why you see those crazy stretched out polygons and weird things happening on the screen. The thing is that it ramps up the FPS because it's doing the math incorrectly, and it's just rendering whatever. As long as you can keep it to complete the test and not crash, you get a really high score. And that's why Port Royal's taking them all those scores down that are above a certain number where they kind of know where the threshold is. Realistically, there will probably be a build of Port Royal coming out that verifies that ECC is enabled. That would then force the scores to be back down naturally where they should be. That's really what's happening. Just we're in a weird time. That's one of the reasons why I don't even bother competing right now. It's not who can get the fastest score. It's who can technically cheat and get away with it the longest before the score is taken down. That's what it's kind of devolved into. At least until these custom cards with like the memory controller, or not the memory, but the voltage controller mods like Doubloons doing and all that with LN2 and 1,000 watt BIOS start hitting on there, when we're gonna start seeing probably 3,300, 3,400 frequencies, then you'll know that they're legit scores. Maybe I should just let the memory go balls to the wall at like 1,900 right now. Because remember, 2,000 was where it crashed when I was doing like heaven. So maybe I'll just do 1,900 now and see what happens. Do you see this craziness happening on screen right now? This is what the world's fastest runs look like. And this is why they've been going in and taking them down. Because ECC memory won't do this. It'll slow down to redo the math to get it right. But when you turn off ECC, this is the crap that you get right here. And what's funny is the FPS in my case right now isn't even great. Like, it's lower with this crap happening right now, but I've seen other parts of the test for other folks where it goes through the roof. So I think it really depends on the scene. Jeez. It's just like, what does the GPU think is there? Like, what is, oh, of course. All right, that's where we're gonna end. I'm done with this crap. I'm so sick of seeing Port Royal over and over and over again. Yeah, EVGA 4090, that never was. The fact that it can even go through this level of abuse when this is a card that, quite honestly, with the exception of NVIDIA's own testing, this might be some of the first wafer that was put onto these cards right here. I mean, the very, very first ones that EVGA had, they had 20 of them. One of them's right here. It would have been awesome if I could have like somehow made it on the leaderboard with this card. But once I found out it wouldn't have said sub-vendor EVGA anyway, it kind of lost its cool factor because I wanted to say EVGA, but I can't. So anyway, I might use this in a personal build. I still have a lot of reservations about the reliability of the power plug. Does mine look okay? Let me see. Let me check. Should be fine. Everything's as good as can be right now on that cable. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I know I share in all of your frustrations that this card isn't in your hands, but you know what? It's in mine, so I guess I can't share in your frustrations that much. But you know something? If you were in my position, you would be like, neener, neener, neener as well. And I'm gonna stop doing that before I drop it. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.